Yeah. Hello, dear friend. Thank you for attend my invitation. All right, nice
Thank
to
you
see you.
so much. Thank you so much for your invitation. I'm really glad to be here and to be in this really worth seeing YouTube channel, because I have seen some videos before, like you have been inviting like so many people from different cultures, and I'm really happy to be like one of them. Yeah,
Yeah, you're gonna be part of them. Yes.
yeah. Thank you.
Uh, okay. Let me know a little bit about you. What your name, where you from, what you're doing, everything. A little bit about yourself. Introduce first, please.
Yeah, okay, with pleasure. So my full name is Mohammed. I'm from Morocco, Northwest Africa. I am working as a freelance English language teachers, and I also have been working with another organization that is based in Morocco for hosting like American volunteers. And that why I told you I'm really interested in culture. Like this is my field of work, like facilitating cultural stuff and language. So for my country, as I told you, it is like situated in northwest Africa. The capital city is Rabat. We have two official languages, Arabic and Tamazight, and our metropolis city is Casablanca. It is the largest one. So Morocco is maybe for Asian people, it's a little bit like not familiar, but for like people who are crossing with the Europe, it's a famous country for like European and American people. Like, and it's good to have you here and to have me here to talk about like my country, my culture, and also to exchange some informations. Yeah.
Mm, thank you. I'm really glad to have you here as well. Oh, so you're English teacher?
Yeah, I've been working as a freelance. I'm teaching in a center here in Morocco, Center of Languages, not in a primary school or a high school. I'm working in a center like only for teaching languages. So my role there is teaching English as a foreign language for as a communicative like language for people from different ages. Like in my groups, I have like different like level different like ages like people who had never studied English before, or people who are like had like some intermediates. Like my role is like facilitating and guiding, you know, because when you are working with adult people, like you just more like it's more like students in their classes, like you are just facilitating and guiding their toward their purpose. Yeah, because they have
Yeah,
like different
that
purpose
is
to learn the
great.
language.
You English teacher, and so why do you still need join on English learning group on Facebook? So what your goal actually? Because I think you don't need it anymore.
Yeah, teaching English when you are a teacher or you are a facilitator of a language, you only need to be among like beginners, especially beginners. My focus is only on beginners. Like it's good to know
Mm,
their expectations, you know? It's very valuable to know the expectations of learners, beginners every day. And based on their expectations and their needs to know the language, I try to like find out many different ideas, methods of teaching, you know? This is like it's good because I heard like many members there how they find it difficult for learning grammar or vocab or speaking or listening, or I mean like the four skills. So based on their needs and expectations, I try to find out some methods that could be like easier, you know. It's good
got
to
it.
be like Yeah, and also
Yeah,
there is
got
a
it.
lot of, I mean, there is a lot of like teachers, like English language teachers are in groups of beginners or intermediates. It's good to be there, like at least to find out, to help, to guide, yeah.
Did you teach them in group or classes or perhaps by individually?
I mean, actually, the last year before the COVID outbreak, we're working in-person classes here in Morocco. It's after the outbreak of the COVID-19, so we stopped in-person classes, and we we really use only WhatsApp groups, which is not like
Mm.
effective. As at least you keep the guidance for them and helping them with materials, helping them with books, and resources that could be available for them to learn and to keep learning.
You told me that you like like teach the beginner. So what the biggest problem that you get along the way you teach them? With the biggest trouble to teach them. So and also which method is really work out well for them.
Yeah, really for beginners, one of the method is like grammar translation method. So for beginners, the teachers need to use translation a lot. Actually, this method is not really effective, but we ought to do it because we are dealing with beginners. So one of the challenges for teachers, I mean, I think for all teachers dealing with beginners, it need like using L1 is more prominent than L2. We are using more L1 in our process of teaching and also
That's
for
really crazy.
learners. So the
Could
input,
excuse
the
me, could you
input
please
sometimes,
excuse
yeah.
me? Uh, Excuse me, could you please repeat the last part of your words because I lost it. I missed your words.
Yeah, as I said before, like when you are dealing with beginners, I mean students, the hardest challenges is using the L1 because in teaching a foreign language, like teachers should not use L1 too much because the input, I mean the language that the students receive there in their classes should be more with L2. I mean with the target language they are learning. So when it comes to beginners, one of the challenges is using L1 more than L2. So this is one of the technique that a little bit overwhelming, but we by practice, when you get used with your students and their expectations and their needs more, you just like draw your own technique that is appealing and which is applicable for them. Yeah.
If you, I think people are different, right? And also your student, and of course they having a different level when they grasp something or your lesson. If they having
Yeah.
a different problem in, so how did you accomplish this?
Yeah, sometimes like before you divide your student in groups or classes, we first need to know their purpose from learning this language. Sometimes you find a student who want to learn just to communicate. Other times you find some learners who are working in a company. So this company they need to be an English speakers like in business English. So sometimes at the very beginning, we need to divide them into groups and into their purpose of learning. Like if you are interested in business English, you're gonna be in this group. If you are interested for tourism, you are in this group. If you are interested for general
Mm.
communication, you're gonna be in this group. So by doing this, you overcome that problem or that language barriers between them or depending on their interests. So when
Yeah.
you
True, true.
specify, yeah, yeah, it's a little bit
Mm,
easier for identifying into groups. It's really helpful and easier even for the teacher, like to focus on one field and not be
yes.
interrupted with other purposes from other students. Yeah,
Yes, that's true. You can categorize from their purpose what
yeah,
they need. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, that's gonna be easier to for you to manage, all right, and make some like make some categorize if someone their purpose is for hotels or to go abroad or continue study or anything, all right. So
yeah,
that's gonna be easier for you. Okay.
yes.
So how old they are mostly the range of their ages? They start from.
Like it's like 11, 11 years old till all the students I had so far had
Mm,
he was I think he was like 47 years old. So for 11 years old to 47 years old. Yeah.
mm. So you teach them in many field, all right? So in many purpose, all right?
Yeah, yeah, depending on their needs, like their
Mm.
purpose, their goals from learning this language. Like
Okay.
one time, I taught two girls. Their interest is to travel to the US, and they had zero language. So their purpose is to communicate with the community there once they arrive to the US. So their interest is general communication because they
Mm.
had like zero language. They had never learned English before, and they want to learn it just for like basic communication. Other time,
Yes.
I taught students who was an employee and he wants to know some vocab, some like some expressions that he could be used when he had meeting with like other his mates in the company because sometimes they are using English as a communication means among them. Like when you are inviting someone from abroad and they need to communicate with him or her. Yeah, there's like many different purpose of learning like a language. Yeah.
Which one is the most interest people? I mean, which one is the number of the student? Which one is like which field the
Yeah,
most interesting for them?
yeah. The most one is communicative language. You want to
Ah,
for general communication. Yeah, communicate. They prefer like English that people use real situations in life in general, like English that
okay.
could be authentic for them. Like yeah,
Mm, okay. You told me that some students that they don't know at all how to communicate, all right, at the very beginning. So how did you teach them at the very beginning when they don't know at all? So what method do you use to start teach them knowing that they don't
yeah.
know how to communicate, just get out from school perhaps, but they still stuck how to don't know how to communicate. So what method is work out well for you with your student?
Yeah, or especially for sometimes in general, like general speaking, like when we are dealing with beginner students, I mean they are a little bit like child, like I mean like
Ah,
from the age of 7 years old to
uh-huh.
11 years old. So the best for me, there is a lot of methods because there are like more experienced teachers who are like very excellent in dealing with this category. But for me personally speaking, I rely on audio lingual method.
Ah,
So this method is more about oral, and you give them drilling and choral and reinforcement, like using reinforcement, using drillings, using like repetition, using like you try to because they are stepping their first I mean, their first step in learning language, it should be like successful. So we try to give them more reinforcement, encouragement, like you are doing good. Now, some exercises, some outdoor activities, because sometimes
Mm,
when there is like some real situations like dialogue,
yeah,
songs, humanistic, I mean humanistic method. The humanistic
yeah, yeah,
method
yeah.
is very important to like
Mm.
to overcome being anxious or being like anxiety of
Ah,
speaking, and like very at ease. People feel themselves at ease to practice even few vocabulary, like to encourage them to speak, to practice, to get that fear of speaking. So
mm,
once they could overcome this step,
yeah.
so the others are very easier for them to go throughout.
Okay. If your student, their purpose is want to continue study abroad, so how long it takes in your courses?
Actually, for this, I can't answer this question because I have never had a student want to move to the US for studies. Because for this in this case, students go to other centers who are more qualified and giving more academic. Because our centers is just like they're beginners. We are just beginners in teaching. We don't give certificates because
Mm,
just like we are working in terms of workshops, but we don't provide certificates. So for
oh,
students who want to follow their studies abroad, they go to centers who are very qualified and given like I
mm,
mean, recognized certificates. That means they are speaking this language. So in this case, they are using other methods and other like depending on the field that the students want to study in. Like there there you find more experts, and yeah. Also
yeah.
for me, I'm not like experts. I had only like I maybe like 3 years of experience. I'm still learning. It's what I told you. Like I'm always in groups of beginners and learners. Also for me, it's learning too. Yeah.
Yeah, I see. I mean, so if or perhaps if one or few of your students perhaps having lost motivation, so how did you encourage them to keep going?
Yeah, that has happened with me. Like when I was when working when not in the center, but when I was working with an organization. It's called Peace Corps. She's an American organization based in Morocco. So the purpose of this organization is to host volunteers from the United States. So they came to Morocco and they work with the Ministry of Culture here in Morocco in terms to for the purpose of doing like some cultural and educational programs for the Moroccan, I mean like the exchange program. So
Mm,
one my role was to facilitate and help them learn our local language. I mean Arabic, like the
mm,
dialect that we use in Moroccan Arabic. So for them, it was one of the challenges how to at least one of the most challenges is the sound, because in Arabic we have some sounds which is very, very, very like complicated for non-Arabic speakers. Not
of
all
course,
that,
of course.
because we have some sounds which is not in English or French or other. So I help them like one of the best way to motivate them is when I had like indoor classes. We go to the cafe outside and I leave them to communicate with the waiter or with the grocery shopper, or like to of course I give them the input, but the outdoors activities, real life situation, I think is the best motivator, especially when they find out that they are speaking and they say a very correct word, and the receiver, I mean like the people, the one who are speaking to, understand their meaning. So they get very happy and they say, "Oh my God, I got this. I did communicate with the grocery. I got communicate with the waiter." So one of the motivation, one of the strategies to give them motivated, or to speak to
Mm.
children, like what is your age? What do you study? So I think like people in real life situations find their motivation. Like they find it very motivated and they could successfully doing it. Because sometimes in class, even we give them like encouragement, we are doing good, keep going, you are doing good, keep going. But they need to hear these words from people who don't know, like people who just meet in coincidence, like, oh, you speak very good. I understand you. Keep doing. So this this is like they find them like support, giving them like such a push to work more harder and to keep going. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I think maybe if I'm not mistaken, I think you're gonna emphasize that learning by immersion is more effective, all right? So just get to
Yeah.
the, mhm, like
Yeah.
in the, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, as I told you before, like one of the method in teaching languages in general is the humanistic method. So this method is more focused on emotions, focused on person in general. Like, because if you see, like, I could see like 80% of language barriers is the personality, like the emotions. Like people, even they do have the language, the vocab, sometimes they find it difficult to express. That goes back to some problems with emotions, with being fear, anxiety, and feeling not comfortable to express themselves. So for me personally, I focus more on humanistic method and how people should react with like real life situation and not get afraid of speaking even with native speakers or anyone else, like to be like at ease.
Yes, yes, yes. Mostly learner having problem in not really financially, but tend to the psychological issue, I guess. But this thing
Yeah.
really, yes, really distract their brains, But actually, this is unnecessary thing. We don't have to think about it actually, but it's nothing happened. But we always how to overcome between reality and their expectation, because worries, anxiety, this come from because their expectation so higher than their reality. All right, how about this?
Yeah. I think sometimes teacher should like focus on like when you finish a unit or when you finish your term, like I mean like your term of teaching, like I mean a term or it depends on teachers how we are dividing their classes. You should like accompany the group for expressing like real life situations, for expressing like, for example, having them in some conferences, having them in some like roundtable discussions, having them in some group songs if they are like having like a talent of singing, and try to reinforce them to be in the real life situation and to adjust to this situation. Once they get
Mhm.
adjusted to this, they find themselves, they go by themselves to be in real life situations, in expressing the English, practicing English in like they just go and find some native speaking partners sometimes they could like find find it easier. So I think this is like the best way. Yeah. This is like to combine with their expectations and their goals. Like yeah, because to not make that gap very huge between
Yeah, yeah.
expectations and
Mm.
demands, because sometimes despite the gap could be uh, a little bit like, it could be like tight. We tighten like that gap to not be a little bit huge and to not like feel they are disappointed, and to avoid feeling that we are not, our learning is like nothing to do with this input, it's not helpful. So this is one of the factors that lead push back the student to not go forward and to not do more efforts to achieve their goals and their purpose.
Mm. Yeah. I mean, like every person they having their own goal. So according their, I think they should know about their capacity. So this is me. For example, this is my reality. This is my English, but my expectation is so higher. And then so high. And the gap between expectation and the reality that's make people get like frustrated sometimes, because uh
Yeah,
yeah. So yeah, this the biggest trouble actually in learning language, because but for me I think, um, it is my own experience. I'm just accept who I am. Just like this is me. I cannot,
yeah,
like, yeah. So no, I don't want to make my brain overload. So just make
yeah,
make my brain just free. Just free. Whatever you interest you, just do it. All right. So just uh, away from burden, from pressure. That's gonna be
yeah,
easier, I guess.
yeah,
Yeah. Anyway,
yeah.
already 27 minutes it's gone. Now tell me a little
Oh,
about Morocco. Yeah, time flies talking to you,
fast. It
So
goes
let
so
me know.
fast.
Yeah, time flies. So
Yeah,
let me know a little about Morocco. How about people there? How about the community?
yeah,
Majority, what religion they're holding up? So just tell me a little bit
yeah,
about this.
yeah. As I told you, geographically speaking, Morocco is one of the northern African countries.
Okay.
The economy of Morocco is based on fisheries, automotive, aeronautic, and we have also like phosphate production in Morocco. I think that Morocco is the second largest phosphate export in the world after China. And we in for Morocco is very known for renewable energy. We have like four we have four stations, one of the biggest stations in the world for solar energy in
Wow.
terms of renewable energy. Yeah. If you go and Google like Noor, where's that? Nor Morocco, you will read more. So Morocco is doing good in this field of renewable and sustainable energy. Like and Moroccan people are very diverse. Like we have Mediterranean people. We have if Morocco is placed in a coastline with the Atlantic, along with the Atlantic Ocean. So in the north, we have some influence with the Spanish because Morocco and Spain, they have borders just like 14 kilometers just
Mm.
by ferries we can cross to Spain. So we have the
Oh.
European influence to the north with with the Christians, and we have also the African influence to the south in the Sahara, and Moroccan society is very diverse. As I told you, we do speak two languages at the same time. We have Arabic. They are called like official languages in Morocco. We have Arabic and Tamazight. So Amazigh people are the first inhabitants of North Africa in general. Amazigh people from Morocco to Egypt,
they lived in this land for many ages. I mean, so also what else?
So there are
We do
people
have.
in Morocco are mostly Islam.
Yeah, the majority are Muslims. I could say like I could say
Okay.
like 95% are Muslims. The second largest community is Jewish. We have many
Oh,
Moroccan Jews here in Morocco. You know, after like the Jews came from Spain after like the collapse of Granada, they came from Spain and they settled in Morocco and they built up their communities here. So the second largest community is Jewish, and the remainder is for Christians. But the majority and the official religion in Morocco is Islam.
okay. So only three about Islam, Jewish, and Christian. All right.
Christians, yeah.
There is no
Oh
Buddhist.
yeah.
Buddhism?
No,
No.
no.
Not at
No
all.
Buddhism, yeah, no, just like just few people, like few communities who are Buddhists. They are living here, but they are not Moroccan. They are like coming
Ah,
from Asia, like
yeah, yeah.
for
Like
their project.
I migrate.
But
Yeah.
yeah, immigrant. Like for others, they are really They are Moroccan. Like when I talk about Jewish, they are Moroccan. The
Yeah.
For Christians, they are Moroccan. Yeah. Others
Oh,
are immigrants, like other religions. Yeah.
oh, I would like to talk to you more, but it's more than 30 minutes. More than I supposed to be. But actually, I would like to talk about like dry fish, meat fish. But oh my God, time flies so. I run out of time.
Yeah.
So thank you so
Yeah.
much for this. Yeah, thank you so much for
Yeah.
attending this chat. I'm really super duper happy for today to have you here. So I hope this is not
I,
the last one. Yeah,
yeah.
you
And
are just
we
awesome.
we have many things to talk about maybe for the next coming videos.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because this is the
So
first one,
we
so
can
I
talk
really want.
about, yeah. I expect you to tell me more about Indonesia, like in Asia in
No
general, like
worries, no worries.
time, but next time, let's skip it for next time, inshallah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I will stop the record, but it's okay
Okay.
if you want to talk a little more. It's okay. I will just stop this record. Okay, thank you everyone for watching. See you the next one. Bye for now.